You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in Jessica Nguyen, Chief Legal Officer at Lexion. Jessica, how are you?
I'm great. I'm a little sticky and hot. It is really warm here in Seattle.
Really? Okay. Do you have a heat wave going on over there?
You know, it's not that hot, but most homes in Seattle, we don't have AC, so I am sorry. But I'm also addicted to warm coffee, so it's also self-inflicted pain.
That could probably be causing some sparkle in you right now. I got it. But hey, you need your Starbucks. Shout out to Starbucks. Even though I'm in Massachusetts, so I work right next door to a Dunkin' Donuts, so that's usually where I am. So it's a pleasure to have you on. You have a lot of a very interesting background, how you got to Lexion and startup, and you have a lot of background with startups. And so as Lawyer Stories, we usually go through the why, like why'd you become an attorney? Like what are you doing now? So I did want to talk about, like, actually kick it off with a post that I saw on your LinkedIn, which was like quite compelling about, I think it had a photo of you when you were like 4 years old. And then, it talks about how like women were really like your mentors and like the importance of that. Maybe you can like frame that a little bit and tell us about your background through that LinkedIn post. And by the way, everybody who's listening out there, I would tell you to go check out Jessica Nguyen's LinkedIn page. It's amazing.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. So I do recall that post. It's one of the few baby pictures I have of myself. And thankfully, I like that baby picture of myself.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yes. So it talks about my background. I think that there is a lot of misperception that all Asian Americans, we're all bucketed into one category, have had it easy. Or, you know what? We don't need help or support or mentorship because we're the model minority. Statistically, if you include billions in China and India and folks, we're doing just fine. Well, you know what? I was dealt a very difficult hand growing up.
Yeah.
So what I really wanted to share was not all Asians are created equal. And that's what that post is about. That
Right.
A lot of my childhood is of me just figuring out things, how to get things done and succeed on my own, or being able to be comfortable asking for help. And a lot of wonderful people along the way of my life from childhood through my professional career, raising their hand to be my support, and how thankful I am because I don't have that built in through my family or my family, or there's no legacy wins who are, there's no trust fund here.
But your family, you did say, the things that you learned, the lessons that you might not have had those steps ahead, but the lessons that you learned from your family were like priceless along the way, right?
I will say that when you're going through it, those are difficult things to talk about. But when you look back into what was very formative of who you are and why you are successful, I'm very grateful for those life experiences. So one of the things that I thrive in, I'm okay and very comfortable in a startup environment of ambiguity and of having to just go in there and build something myself because of my childhood. An interesting fact about me, Ben, is that a story I like to tell that shocks people when I tell them is that my junior year, I took the city bus to the public library to pick up tax forms to help my immigrant parents file taxes. I needed that so that I could apply for financial aid for college.
Wow.
That's not a normal. People look at me weird and I'm like, that's not normal, Jess. And I'm like, eh? Well, that was normal for me.
That was your normal, yeah.
That was my normal, Ben.
Yeah.
So, but I look back and I'm so grateful for those experiences because I'm not helpless. and I'm very resourceful and self-sufficient
Yeah,
in life.
I think resourceful is like a great word that's totally underused. So, I mean, and I think like a lot of the biggest hustlers come from backgrounds where they weren't just like, here you go. You know what I mean? So that's really a lot of respect to you, Jessica,
You
for
just call me a hustler?
well, in like a good way, I think. Like that's
No,
a
I was like, that's the nicest thing anyone said to
okay,
me.
good. All
Thank
right,
you.
we're off to a good start. Okay. So you're from Honolulu, is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so like how did you end up in Washington State?
Just by rolling a dice.
Okay.
So in my high school, a few alum from LMU, Loyola Marymount and Seattle U came in to talk about their college experiences at Seattle University, which is where I went to, and Loyola Marymount. And they're both Jesuit schools that recruited heavily from my high school in Honolulu. And they provided great scholarships. So I was just influenced by those alumni and I applied and I got in. But
Okay.
again, with my background then, I didn't have the resources to do college tours and travel.
Right.
So yeah, so during the dial-up internet days, I did as much research as I could. This is in the late 90s.
I know
And
all about it.
the
Don't worry. I know the
and
sound of logging into the internet. It's okay.
oh yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah. And
I
just
actually
talk.
miss like AOL. Like I wish we had like AOL chat rooms. They need to bring back AOL chat rooms, I think. Anyway, all right, that's another
No, that's my entire college life is all about AL chat rooms. I actually get told, this is we digress, Ben, that I slack in like very short ways. It's very triggering for the next gen. And I'm like, but that's how I AOL chatted.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
very short little snippets.
That's right.
Yes, yes. So sorry, younger generations.
I
I am the
know.
generation of AOL chat.
Yes, for sure. So like, did you have a moment when you knew you were going to be a lawyer or like go to law school?
I didn't. I think a
Okay.
lot of my life has been trial and error, not just in when I was 18 or 21. I even think about, when I was at a law firm or just, I just fell into certain roles.
Okay. So you kind of just ended up working at a law firm, like out of like in Washington? Like, is that kind of how it started?
So, how it started was okay. So, in terms of back to your earlier question, while I was a end of junior year, you took the LSATs. But what triggered me to, what was a catalyst for me to apply to law school was that I used to study a lot at the law school at Seattle University. And I just if I found it so inspiring, I would listen to their
Okay.
conversations and I would think, wow, these are really smart people that I
Okay.
want to be alike,
Okay.
like. And that was really what it was. I didn't, again, have a lot of professional role models to guide
Right.
me.
That makes sense. I can see how that
Yeah,
happens because being in like that environment definitely sort of makes you want to be a part of that environment, sort of thing.
it did. It
Yeah.
did. I thought about myself and I loved growing up in Honolulu. Who doesn't? But everybody there is chill,
Yeah.
very, very chill, and don't have really big career aspirations. And what was I found so different than my environment in Honolulu was sitting amongst law students
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
energy that they brought to the table was so different because I was a college gal. I was in the Hawaii club. I danced hula at
There you
the
go.
annual luau party, right, with the
Nice.
Hawaii club. And I still love my Hawaiian roots because the people there are generous and just the greatest humans.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So you have like amazing experience in the tech space, right? One thing I was really curious about is like what was it like to work at Microsoft Office for like almost 4 years as an attorney? Like, what were you doing there? Like,
Wow. What wasn't I doing? Which is why
okay,
I stayed
all
for
right,
almost 4 years. I made it a great, I think for these big companies, you can make the experience as amazing as you want it to be. So a joke that I have is there's a large segment of folks at big companies that don't do much. They're just doing what they're asked to do and managing
right,
up. And I call them the rest and vest group. They just rest and vest.
okay,
That's
wow,
how I'm, yeah, that's how I'm wired, Ben. Like I'm all about let's
yeah,
get stuff done, let's build impact. And so I was very fortunate to land in a group at Microsoft where I'm helping with startup acquisitions, integrations, and then figuring out with the existing Office 365 engineering team, how do we embed this new startup solution into an overall larger enterprise ecosystem of an established brand that's selling to government agencies, overseas,
Wow.
enterprise clients. And then interesting, I got to fly to Silicon Valley, fly to San Francisco, and do a lot of that work, which was really, really fun, and work shoulder to shoulder with some of the best engineers. So, I mean, for a big company role, I made it really fun.
Does that also mean you're very fluent in spreadsheets?
I'm I'm okay at spreadsheets.
Okay.
I can get by.
So you moved on to PayScale, and you built the legal team from bottom up. So this is like kind of a broad question you could probably write like an enormous essay on, but I'm gonna just try it, okay? So like what does it take to generate revenue, drive growth, and build new legal teams from scratch? Like maybe you could give us a couple snippets or advice about how you do that.
Well, I think it's very odd for a general counsel or any in-house attorney to describe themselves as revenue generating.
Right.
But that is exactly what I am, especially at Lexion, where I am today, where we're a legal technology provider. But before I was at Lexion and I was at PayScale, I made it upon myself to be able to, when you're in B2B or business to business software applications, the legal team plays a very big role in supporting sales contracts, especially at the enterprise level. So making sure I made sure that legal got credit and attribution in the role that our team played in closing revenue. And so I was able to, although we know legal costs were part of G&A as opposed to sales or customer acquisition cost, hey, we contributed to this X million in revenue.
Wow.
And make sure it's very clear. And then partnering with the sales team to say, hey, what were your conversion differences after my team arrived? Hey, what were any conversion changes, after I rolled out a GDPR plan? And also trained your sales team on talk tracks that differentiate PayScale from much less mature competitors who are trying to still share from PayScale, but didn't have the enterprise persona and terms and programs that PayScale did, because my team brought that.
Wow.
So,
okay. Can
again,
you give us,
yeah.
do you have like an example of that? Like a small example of that? Like how you added to the growth, like that growth? Like with the sales team?
Absolutely. So, one of the bigger, for SMB deals, legal should not touch that, right? That doesn't scale if legal's touching $5,000 deals. But for enterprise segment at PayScale, year over year, after my team was brought in, and granted, we had data from zero in-house counsel to my team coming on, enterprise deals will close at 25% better conversion.
Wow.
25% is real money at the enterprise segment.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's amazing work.
Yes.
So then what would inspire you to go to Lexion? Right? Like it's a startup. It's not something that might not be super secure yet, and you're getting in on like the ground floor. They hire you as this person that has an expanded role, not just like an in-house lawyer or chief legal officer, but you're doing like a lot of the different things. Like what inspires you to do that? I mean, I think you touched on it a little bit. You like to, make things grow and that sort of thing, but tell us about it.
Absolutely. So I'm very introspective, and when I thought about what I loved about being at PayScale and the impact I had there, it was all about building and growth. And when times were challenging at PayScale, as an example, and other companies, I'm talking to my other general counsel friends, the end of the day, the legal function is not generally viewed by the overall business as growth and revenue oriented. We are a cost and line item in the G&A, portion of a financial statement. And that's really tough, because you're like, hey, I created all this impact. I even have data. Can I have more budget or headcount or budget for tool? And your CFO will be like, I love my CFO relationship at PayScale, but still, it's a tough conversation. It's always like, what's the business case? What's the ROI? And always having to battle for that resource. And I would see folks in other departments like sales, like, I need X headcount. Okay, you got it.
Right. They look at you as like more of like a cost or something like that, right? Like, is that, yeah.
That is, and that was really challenging for me to see
Yep.
that my team had to work 20x harder than the average individual in other functions. So that was hard to see. And how much I had to advocate and fight and influence to get more resources. This is not a Jessica problem. This is a general counsel problem.
Yeah.
And then I also thought about what are the things I'm really good at? And what I built organically at PayScale was for legal conferences, I was asked, because I worked at PayScale,
Yeah.
which provides pay equity solutions, compensation data. So to tell stories and salary negotiation tactics of success, starting with the legal persona. But I became then, I don't know why, I think I like to tell funny stories, very popular in the legal conference circuit and was asked
Nice.
speaking at other events related to salary negotiations, pay equity. And that became a part of my brand organically, not
It's
because I was
awesome.
trying to. Yeah. So what I saw was like, hey, you know what? I am not bad at building brand for an organization. It comes very natural for
And
me.
you liked it. I mean,
I like
I know it's simple to say like that, but you enjoyed it. You liked it. I
it.
mean, so that's a
I
big
do
part of the
like
battle.
because so much of the content that I'm doing, whether it be about pay negotiation tactics or legal educational content, is to share a lot of the lessons that I've learned in my life that I didn't do perfectly well when I was younger or less experienced. And I get so much, it's so rewarding to do that at scale.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I was looking at your LinkedIn, you're like a star there. I mean, people love your posts and you got these like posts with like tons of engagement and pretty amazing.
I'm laughing because I'm incredibly boring and wearing yoga pants, and I'm like a hardcore soccer mom. And an
Great.
exciting weekend for me is a soccer tournament followed by a Costco run. Like I am not like a
Good time.
celebrity.
That's a full day right there. That's a good time. So how does AI, how is that like playing a role with Lexion?
Well, AI has been the core of our technology from
Yep.
day one. It was literally the company was one of the rare companies, CLM, legal tech companies actually founded at a research institute. So how does it play? It plays in our team and talent and everything that we do. And I'm just really excited. I don't understand all the technical language coming out of the team, but where I add value is you can have amazing tech, but does it actually solve a problem?
Right.
I
Right.
care. So really being the voice of the in-house counsel, which is rare in a lot of these startups to have experienced in-house counsel at such an early stage to say, this is the problem we need to solve. And then working with the best of the best in AI and technology to build a solution to that using AI.
Okay. And with Lexion, there's no need for IT or like expensive consultants or expensive consultants, excuse me, required to get started or modified, like different workflows. So, what exactly like does it is it producing? Tell us a little bit about the functionality of Lexion.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up. Putting AI aside, one of the major problems that I personally experience in many companies is that, yeah, the technology is awesome. It looks really pretty. Yes, it has AI, whatever. Oh, to get it implemented, it's going to take X amount of time and resources, internal resources, consultants. Yeah, that's a no-go.
Yeah,
So,
right,
yeah. So a big barrier to any tech implementation success, especially for legal, which is the bottom of the priority totem pole for all IT teams and Salesforce admins, by the way, is that a lot of contract management systems or legal intake systems are a big lift. And so part of our journey was learning that and actually building a system that isn't a big lift and that a lawyer or can do it themselves to like create their own workflows, create their own intake forms, or just take like 10 minutes of IT's time. But one of like, for example, at PayScale, I wanted to create an intake system through Salesforce, right? That's where the people are living.
right.
I think I asked our Salesforce admin for help and he laughed.
Yeah, yeah.
He disliked me. We had a great relationship. He's like, Jessica, here's my list of priorities coming from sales and customer success, which are all tied to revenue. He's like, I can't get to this until like 6 months at
Right,
the earliest. And my
right.
person, and there's high churn in that department. So it just became like how I need to empower legal teams to be able to do this themselves as much as possible. And that became a core part of Lexion.
Okay, that's interesting. So like tell us a law firm who's like working with you guys, like what do they see, what do they do? Like how does it tell us like I'm an attorney working in a firm, like I acquire Lexion, like what am I doing?
Yeah. So right now, our core customer base is in-house legal teams for companies.
In-house. For
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say it again.
In-house legal departments for companies,
Okay.
not law firms. That is our core
Gotcha.
customer.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we do have a big law firm client who is also an investor and a partner of ours, which is Wilson Sonsini.
Okay.
And they have the same user interface as our in-house corporate clients, but their use case is slightly different, right? Because they're a law firm. So I would say the user interface is incredibly simple, and that's intentional. Despite a very complex backend that no one really cares about, it's the front end that has to be simple and so intuitive that I always say if you have to contact support or if you have to ask someone for training, you've already lost.
Uh-oh.
This is the magic of iPhone, right? I
Yeah.
tried to Droid at some point in my life and I couldn't figure it out. I needed it more dumbed down for me. Again, I'm like you, I'm the AOL chat era.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dumb this down for me. And a lot of our features are very similar in the experience and flow of tools that legal already is using, like Microsoft Office. We plug into Microsoft Word. Our
Gotcha.
system has a very email-like feel because
Okay.
there's no email.
Okay. And what system was that again? I didn't hear you.
Which one? Lexion?
No, the email system you were talking about.
I
It's
mean,
for email.
any email system. I mean, Lexion integrates with any email
So
system.
integrates. Okay. And you could just
Right.
do it all from there. Like these corporate in-house legal can do all of their work from this system, from Lexion.
Yes, it
Okay.
can. And the other thing we've learned along our journey was that other functions like sales or marketing or customer success, they don't want to learn another tool. They've already have SaaS tech overload. Like if I put
Right.
myself in the shoes of a salesperson, they need to know Salesforce, they need to know Slack, they need to know Outreach. I mean, whatever you name the tech stack. The last thing they want to do is have to log into another tool and learn it. They're not
Yeah.
going to.
No, that's crazy. I know it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's already a lot on top of learning how to sell and demo a product and learning that art. So our big is how do we make this frictionless Lexion already where the other teams are living. So our Salesforce
Gotcha.
integration is great. Our email integration is awesome. You know, whatever DocuSign, other business system integration is awesome. That is really key. I think not just for legal tech, but any tech these
You
days.
want to meet them where they are already, the customer.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's limited to CLM. It's going to be any tech stack right now. Is
Okay.
how can you integrate with existing systems is going to be a core value prop.
Got it. Um, so what does it mean to be the voice of the customer? I saw somewhere that you were taken on to sort of be the voice of the customer. You could tell me if that's an
Yeah.
inaccurate statement, but I was curious about that.
Well, I am the customer. I'm
True.
the business world called ICP, ideal
Yep.
customer profile. And that's me. And so what's really unique about Lexion is I was brought on well before we had and what the business world calls MVP, minimum viable product.
Okay.
We had really great infrastructure and a database system. And when Gaurav, the CEO and co-founder, showed me the product, I was like, yeah, we got a lot of front end design and work to do. And so as the voice of the customer, again, Gaurav and Ahmad, they are two of the smartest people I've ever met in my life and much, much smarter than me. But
Hmm.
what they don't have is my 17 years of practicing law
Right.
and also my years of probably negotiating 1,000+ contracts over my career and the workflow of a normal lawyer. And so to be able to vocalize and champion someone like me is
Yeah.
not going to get that. You're going to have to
Right.
build like this. That was what my role is, helping to get us to MVP and really go to market, which
Wow.
is
Okay.
so I joined it. So to be clear, I joined at the seed stage as employee number 12 as the
Wow.
first
Okay.
non-technical hire. So I'm sitting at the Allen Institute for Research amongst a bunch of super nerds and me.
What? Okay. Well, I did see something about contract nerds though, so I don't know if that's a little different than.
Contractors is a great contracts community. When I say that, the way nerds and hustler are all compliments in my mind.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So about a year and a half ago, you wrote an article about how to accelerate contracting in 3 steps.
I
Do you
did.
recall? Do you recall that? Like, is there? I know. I don't mean to.
I have written many things since, but
Yeah.
yes.
I just thought this was kind of cool. Like, I don't know if you don't, recall exactly like what it was, but I was just seeing if we can get some, just tell us a little bit about that article. It was contracting in 3 steps. Accelerate contracting in 3 steps.
Yeah. Well, it's basically which is a framework to help someone get started. Like, oh my gosh, I've been told contracting is slow. Fix it. Well, where do I start?
Yeah.
So I haven't read that article, Ben, full disclosure, in
Yeah.
probably a year since I wrote
Oh,
it,
yeah.
if I'm to be very honest with you.
Yeah. Totally.
But off the top of my head, I can just tell you that an overall framework, whatever you're doing in life, whether it be figuring out you have a problem, you got to solve it, is figure out like debug the problem. What is the root cause of the problem? So step one is to map out all your workflows, figure out from start to finish of your contracting process, and figure out what the problem pain points are along the journey of the contract. Step one, right? And
Yeah.
analyze the problem. Step two is do that look at the data, look at the analysis, and figure out and create solutions to solve those problems. Is it a process problem? Is it a people problem? Is it a resource problem? And can tech or more headcount solve it? Depends, right? Depends what the problem is. And then lastly is to roll that out, implement the solution, and try where you can collect metrics so you can measure, success. The business, the world, we operate on metrics. Every
Right.
department, marketing, sales, customer success, is held accountable to a metric. And now there's more pressure on legal to also be held accountable to some metrics. So, I
Wow.
can see our starting point. It was this slow. I'm just gonna make it up, 20 days to close a contract in this segment for this type of customer profile. We implemented the solutions. A year later, here's the sales cycle now, et cetera, et cetera. So think about the metrics you want to collect so you can measure progress or not progress. Hey, why is it not working? Let's look at the data. Or let's like, so that would be me off the cuff thinking about like if I were to implement, solution, a 3-step process.
Gotcha. Like, where do you see Lexion in like a few years from now? 3 to 5 years.
Ooh, that's a good question. In the near term, in the more up to 3 years, I see us really becoming a leader to
Mhm.
legal, a solution for the legal domain, and really becoming masters of solving in-house counsel pain points. Okay, from
Yep.
analyzing contracts, suggesting edits using AI, generative AI capabilities, also combined with our private cloud generative AI models as well. So that's really going to be really cool. And then what we're starting to see in our solution is that organically, people are finding, oh my gosh, tools like ServiceNow and Jira are really clunky and expensive. So what we're seeing with our customer base is interesting thing where other departments are starting to ask, can I have a seat to Lexion? And so on the 5-year spectrum is continuing to mature out the functionalities that are bringing value, not just to legal, but to other functions as well as an organization, because we're already seeing that people are liking Lexion, and contracting already is a team sport with a lot of stakeholders involved to understanding what's in a contract, getting a deal done. And so they're in the solution and liking what they see. So growing that over the next 5 years is happening.
Wow. Okay. Do you see any issues with the AI though, with contracts? Do you see any potential problems or no?
So I think the potential problems with AI and contracts is less scary and a lot lower than in the consumer space, meaning, using generative AI to create images or or leveraging copyrightable material to create your own copyrightable material. That's with contracts, all contract geeks like myself, we reuse,
Yeah.
repurpose already out there. That's a whole part of we're trying to standardize as much as possible.
Right.
So if anything, we're trying to come to a world where everything is close to the same in market or standard. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
a low risk. The biggest risk I see is that there's a lot of ugly, like from a marketing standpoint, like we have generative AI, we're so cool, we're going to jump on the bandwagon. But those companies are pretty sloppy on the back end, and they're not going to sufficiently protect your data.
Gotcha.
They're
Yeah.
just slapping together some software and layering on some generative AI application on top, but your data is being not secure enough or commingled with other data. And so what does that mean is it's at risk of, although contract clauses are not copyrightable type of content, they are confidential and proprietary. If you
Sure.
don't, yeah. So for a lot of our customers, there's a data leakage risk. So I actually think privacy and security in our domain is a
Yep.
bigger risk and issue with generative AI and AI.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. That's great. Great response. So in
Oh,
another,
thank you.
in another LinkedIn post, you referenced a friend. I guess it's going to be a shout out to your friend if you remember this post. I don't mean to like jog your memory on everything here, but so there was closed mouths don't get fed. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
I like that because I think another way that I like to put it is like you don't get anything unless you ask, right? So
Yes.
that's sort of like I just wanted to see what your take was on that.
I love that. I learned that that friend was a senior salesperson at PayScale.
Okay.
And I'll tell who he is. I adore him. He's an amazing salesperson. His name is Nick Kropp. Hell, Nick, if you're ever listening to this one day, he probably isn't because he's not a lawyer.
Yeah.
So I'll embarrass him. But I love that line because, especially being Asian American and culturally, we're told to put your head down and work hard and be humble and quiet. And someone will just tell us, like, someone will notice how great our work product is and then promote us. That's not how that works in the real world. Like, to
Yeah.
be honest,
Right.
not because people are malicious, it's because they don't know unless you tell them
I
that
know.
you did something or you want something.
It's so true, and I think it takes a little while, like through the working world, or whether it's even sports. You deal with that in high school, like telling somebody where you're supposed to be, or what you're supposed to be doing, rather than having somebody put you there. What do you have any? What advice do you have for somebody trying to launch a startup?
Ooh, the biggest advice I would have is start with the problem, not the tech. Not
Okay.
just be like, you know what? AI is super cool. I want to
Right.
build something
Okay.
with AI. No, 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 no. Really think about and ideally it is a problem you are personally passionate about solving. And so for me for Lexion, it makes sense why I'm so passionate about when I talk about Lexion to customers or in demos or at conferences. You can see why, because I freaking lived it. I
Yeah.
lived the pain like for 17 years. And people in the early days are betting on you. You're less established, right? You're less secure. So they're betting on the person, whether you're an investor or customer, that you care so much about solving it, they believe in you.
Yeah. No, that makes I like that. Start with the problem, not the tech. So even if you like the tech, like make sure it's going to solve a problem before you start going down that path. So
Correct.
knowing what you know now, like what advice would you give to your younger self?
Ooh, I would I would start trying to build, as someone like myself who didn't have a family network of professional role models,
Mhm.
look around me. And I think what LinkedIn is so great about, I know I'm all over LinkedIn, is that it's really democratized networking. And look at the people and the profiles of people that you aspire to be like, and then ask them, what about their journey? How did you like, one, do you actually like your job? There's a lot of people who
Right.
don't. And
Unbelievable.
if
Yeah.
you and if you do like your job, why? So learn that, build goals for yourself and work backwards and say, you know what? If I want to be like a Jessica, please, I don't recommend being like me. But if you let's say you want to be like me, how did I get there? And what was the path? So, and like, what are the skill sets? And try to collect those skill sets and experience that I will tell you. So get those mentors that you can get now that's much more accessible than when you and I were,
Yeah.
rising, right?
Tell me about it. That's good advice. So you're a busy soccer mom. How do you balance like being a busy mom? How old are your, can I ask how old your kids are?
Yes, I have two daughters. They're 10 and a half and 8.
Okay.
And there is absolutely no balance. It is chaos. So how do I manage chaos is the
Yes.
better question. And it is you don't do it alone, is
Yeah.
how. So remove the I. How do we manage chaos? It
Right.
is my spouse who's very hands-on and does a lot of heavy lift. And it is fellow parents who are like, we're doing carpool, like we'll
Yep.
take them. I think right now downstairs, Ben, what you don't know is I have 4 girls in my house that I'm
Nice.
on duty right now, soccer parent. They swam at the pool and then after soccer camp.
Nice. Well,
It's
that sounds,
it's really a
what a
village.
life. What a life.
They had they
I,
have a much bigger life than me.
that's great. That's great. But you're doing this all for them. Sort of. I mean, at the end of the day, it's sort of like maybe I shouldn't say that, but you're setting a very good example. I have a lot of respect for being able to, be a mom, be a soccer mom, and take on this role that obviously, like, you're so passionate about. Being in the startup world. I mean, you could just hear it in the inflection in your voice. So that's pretty incredible. Am I leaving anything out in terms of advice? Is there anything you want to tell the Lawyer Stories community to help you become a little more acclimated with us and see like what we do as we go and how we build? But is there anything else that you'd want to share that we left out?
Uh, I guess my parting words are no one cares about you more than you. So my important advice is you need to take control of your own destiny and ask for what you want, ask for what you need, and vocalize what your goals are. Ask. The people
Right.
are
So I actually do have like one or two more. Do you have a couple more minutes?
sure.
Okay, so I just wanted to get some advice for you for women in tech. Do you have any advice for women in tech
Yeah. Women in tech.
and startups and or
So I will say for women in tech, I would love for more women to take upon roles in revenue generation and product or technology, not just operations. When you're growing a startup, when you're growing a business, the core metrics and to get venture capital and money and talent is, are you able to, one, build the product, which sadly there are more men in engineering and technology roles than women, build a product people love. And then secondly, are you able to get revenue and build a business? And so you need to sell people on that. And a lot of, I don't know why, but there are not enough women in a more sales and function and comfortable with asking someone, I want your business, and see it as like, that's not slimy. Like when I ask someone, I want your business because I really think we can help that person
Mhm.
and that they could be a great building partner with me. Like it's a partnership. And so to have that, so there, I want to see more women in those roles. And what that means is more women who are more influential and more likely to get venture capital money or investment money. Right now, I think for women founded companies, they get less than 3% of VC funds.
Wow. And speaking of women influencers, and you've won like several awards. So congratulations on those, like Women Influence and Power and Law Award, Top 100 Influencers in 2019, Business Journal, National Asian
I
Pacific.
didn't even know what an influencer was in 2019. I got an email, congratulations, you're an influencer. I'm like, what is that? Is that like a
Yeah,
Kardashian?
yeah.
Like, what is that?
None of us did. So, well, no, I mean, seems like a great award, though. National Asian Pacific American Bar Association's Best Under 40. Congratulations. Um,
Thank you.
so, like,
I'm
what
not
are
under
those?
40 anymore.
Yeah, well, I wasn't gonna say it. You said that, all right? So I wasn't gonna. I had 2019 listed, but I didn't. Okay, anyways, so like, what do those awards mean to you?
What those awards mean to me is that I am raising visibility that Asian Americans and Asian American women are leaders. We're not, we have, especially in the legal industry, and I'm sure other functions, there is a strong pipeline of Asian Americans getting into colleges, getting law firm jobs, or getting in-house legal jobs. but the promotion velocity is pathetic for Asian Americans. And visibility, especially East Asian Americans like myself, is pretty sad in leadership roles. And why is that? There's a drop off. And so, what I really seen, so organically, again, not because I intended to do that, is when I win these awards or I do speaking engagements and I tell my story about how I just like, I asked for it. I asked for the GC title. I asked for the pay raise, and here's my impact. Asian American women will like message me and they're like, I love what you stand for. You've inspired me to ask for a promotion that I deserve. I've been doing the job for 3 years, but never been given the promotion or the pay raise. You inspired me to go ask for it, and I got it.
I love that.
So yes, and I get a lot of those messages. Like, you show me, Jessica, that it's possible, and it gave me the courage to do the things that I was too scared to do.
That's amazing. That's so important. So congratulations on that.
Yeah.
That's like the award in and of itself, right?
Oh yeah, I get my like it really, and so yeah, that gives me the warm and fuzzies more than some award.
Yeah, that's definitely nice to hear. So, um, is there? I know we kind of stopped short before, but is there anything else that we left out that I forgot today, or that you wanted to bring up?
No, I think we talked about all the things about being a soccer mom, being a vocal, visible Asian American leader,
Yeah.
and why I joined Lexion and our amazing growth journey and our passion to solve lawyer problems.
Jessica Nguyen, congratulations on all your success. Chief Legal Officer at Lexion. Check it out. Check Jessica out on LinkedIn. Amazing work. Thanks for being here. Stay right there. And everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.